The transmission ended in a ragged burst of static, the sound of someone screaming cut short. A final image, blurred and grainy, froze on the main display, flames clawing at the dark sky over Erevo station. A massive, angular silhouette descended through the smoke, its hull carved with symbols that translated to only one name: Zereth Dominion. On the bridge of the UNS Retributor, Captain Elias Voss didn't move. His hands rested on the railing, his pale eyes locked on the broken transmission. The crew watched him silently, waiting for orders. Every second felt like a stone dropping into water. "Time of last signal?" Voss asked, his voice calm but sharp enough to cut through the tension. 23 minutes ago, sir," replied Lieutenant Cara Dre, his XO. Her tone wavered slightly. "No survivors reported. Automated beacons are offline. It's gone." Voss's jaw tightened. Erevo station had housed nearly 10,000 colonists. Engineers, families, children. There would be no prisoners. Not with the Zereth. He exhaled once and turned to the helm. "Set course for Erevos. Full burn. I want eyes on what's left." "Aye, Captain," the helmsman answered. The hum of the engines deepened as the fleet shifted course. 3 destroyers and 2 cruisers falling into formation around the flagship like wolves scenting blood. The wreckage of Erevo's station drifted in silence. Once a gleaming ring station orbiting a lush, terraformed moon, it was now a shattered halo. Twisted beams floated like broken ribs. Fires burned even in vacuum, chemical fuels flaring in grotesque colors. The moon below bore black scars, entire settlements erased by orbital bombardment. Voss stood before the observation viewport, his reflection merging with the void. Dre joined him, helmet tucked under her arm. "They didn't just attack. They made a statement," she said. He didn't answer. Erevos was a civilian hub. No military assets, no defenses worth mentioning. "Why would they?" "Because they could," Voss interrupted. "The Dominion thrives on fear. This was a warning to anyone who dares stand in their way. They think humanity will flinch." Dre's gaze lingered on the ruins. "And will we?" Voss turned his head slightly. "We're not like them. We don't fight for show." He paused, voice colder than the void outside. "We end things." The fleet deployed reconnaissance drones across the debris field. Reports came in, heat signatures from power cores, shredded hull fragments, no survivors. The evidence was undeniable. Every escape pod had been hunted down and destroyed. "Captain," said Ensign Ree from the census station, picking up incoming signatures, "Zereth cruisers, 2 of them, vectoring in fast. No hails. Weapons hot." Dre's eyes narrowed. "Ambush." "Or they came back to see if anyone lived," Voss said. "Plot intercept. All ships, combat alert." The Dominion cruisers appeared as jagged predators, their hulls lined with glowing crimson veins. They fired first, searing plasma lances cutting through the darkness. Shields flared as Retributor took the hit. "Return fire," Voss ordered, his tone unshaken. "Target propulsion. No mercy." The Terran ships responded with terrifying precision. Railgun slugs punched through Zereth hulls, tearing them apart in showers of molten metal. Drone swarms, controlled by human AIs, darted between enemy ships like wasps, planting charges that ripped through their reactor cores. Within minutes, the first Zereth cruiser detonated in a silent explosion of white light. "Second ship attempting to retreat," Ree reported. "Not today," Voss said. "Pursuit vector. Disable them." The battle ended swiftly. The second cruiser lay adrift, its engines crippled, escape pods floating like dark seeds. Voss stared at the wreck on the tactical display. "Recover 1 pod," he said. "Bring me a prisoner." Dre hesitated. "Alive. Alive enough to talk." In the dim interrogation bay, the captured Zereth warrior was chained, its reptilian scales scorched from the wreck. It hissed as Voss entered, its golden eyes filled with venomous defiance. "You lead the attack?" Voss asked. The alien spat a phrase in its native tongue, translated by the comm AI as, "Your kind should have stayed in the dirt of your homeworld." Voss crouched, his gaze steady. "You slaughtered civilians." "Why?" The alien's jaws flexed in something between a snarl and a grin. "Because we can. You are weak. Soft. You cannot comprehend true war. Dre, standing nearby, clenched her fists. Soft? We're the ones who just tore your fleet apart. The Zirith chuckled, a sound like grinding stones. 2 ships are nothing. The Dominion is endless. Voss's expression didn't change. Then I'll end it. The alien's grin faltered. Back on the bridge, Voss addressed the fleet. Command will want a report. Send everything. Footage, scans, the prisoner statements. But I'm not waiting for orders. Dre frowned. What are you planning? Retaliation, he said simply. Captain, the council might. They can debate while we're buried under rubble. Erivo's was a warning. We send one back. The crew exchanged glances. They'd all heard the same whispers across the colonies. Humans don't fight wars like other species. Where others clashed over borders or trade, humanity's approach was surgical, unrelenting. If someone struck first, the response was not victory, it was obliteration. Dre finally nodded. What's the target? The nearest Dominion outpost. We strike fast. Leave nothing standing. No survivors. Minutes later, the fleet's engines roared, stars streaking into lines as they jumped into FTL. Voss remained on the bridge, silent, eyes locked on the void ahead. Sir, Dre said quietly, do you ever wonder if the stories they tell about us are true? Voss glanced at her. Which stories? That we're not soldiers. That we're executioners. His lips curved in something that wasn't quite a smile. Let them tell their stories. Fear keeps us alive. As the Retributor vanished into hyperspace, the burning fragments of Erivo's station spun alone in the dark, a monument to the Dominion's cruelty, and the storm humanity was about to unleash. The UNS Retributor emerged from FTL like a shadow ripping through the stars. Ahead lay the Dominion outpost, a sprawling station built into the carcass of an asteroid. Its defense grid shimmered faintly, designed to repel pirates and small raiding parties. It was not built for humanity. Status of their sensors? Voss asked from the command chair. Blind for another minute, Ensign Ree reported. Our jamming drones are working. They don't know we're here. Lieutenant Cara Dre studied the holographic projection of the station, the rotating blue wireframe casting sharp shadows across her face. They'll realize soon enough. Voss's gaze stayed fixed on the projection. Then we won't give them time to prepare. The fleet moved like a pack of predators, breaking formation only to line up their firing vectors. A single command from Voss cut through the silence. Fire! The first volley struck the station's power grid. Railgun slugs tore through plating, splitting the asteroid structure like brittle bone. Explosions rippled across its surface as the defense grid collapsed. Seconds later, a rain of precision missiles followed, striking fuel reserves and hangar bays with merciless accuracy. Station shields offline, Ree said. Their distress signals out, but they won't have time to respond. Voss nodded. Cut their communications. Leave one corridor open for escape pods. Dre shot him a sharp look. Mercy. Message, he corrected. Within 20 minutes, the outpost was reduced to drifting wreckage. Escape pods scattered like frightened insects, the survivors watching in horror as the rest of the station burned in silence. Transmit, Voss ordered. The comm officer activated the signal. Across Dominion channels, a simple message played, a single image of Erivo's station's ruins, followed by 3 words, "We are coming." While the fleet moved to rendezvous with the Terran carrier group, news traveled faster than ships. Alien networks lit up with whispers. Council of Earth. Broadcast Channel 73. The humans. Did you see what they did to Outpost Syndrel? A Earth diplomat hissed, its tendrils trembling as the council chamber erupted with panic chatter. They left survivors, said another voice. On purpose. That's worse, the diplomat snapped. They want us to talk about it. They want us afraid. They don't fight like we do, a third council member muttered, voice low. They erase what they touch. And the Dominion? Even their warlords look shaken. That tells me enough. Back aboard the Retributor, Dre entered the captain's ready room. Voss was seated at his desk, reviewing reconnaissance feeds from the wreckage. The cool blue light reflected off his expressionless face. Command received your report, she said. They're unsettled. Unsettled. They're debating whether you overstepped your authority by launching a retaliatory strike without approval. Voss leaned back in his chair. They want debates? They can have them. I'm not interested in waiting while the Dominion butchers more civilians. Dre folded her arms. You're aware they're also impressed. They're calling you the Hammer of Erevos now. Voss snorted. Titles don't matter. The Dominion will retaliate, and I intend to be ready. The prisoner from the ambushed cruiser was brought to the interrogation room once more. Its scaled skin had dulled, but its defiance burned as bright as before. Voss stood before the alien. You've seen what we can do. Speak. Where is your next target? The Zirith sneered. You think we fear you? You are animals, loud, brutal, without honor. Voss tilted his head slightly. Honor doesn't bring back the dead. He leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. Your kind leaves nothing but ash. We're not so different. The only difference is, we don't stop. The alien's golden eyes flickered. For the first time, there was something in its expression other than contempt. Hours later, Dre found Voss alone in the observation deck, watching the dark void beyond the hull. You look like you've seen a ghost, she said. Not a ghost, he replied. A pattern. The Dominion thinks war is a game of pride and intimidation. They believe we're too young, too untested to challenge them. That arrogance will be their undoing. Dre crossed her arms. And what if we become what they say we are? Executioners. Voss didn't look away from the stars. If that's what it takes to keep humanity alive, so be it. But I'll tell you this, we'll never start wars. We'll only finish them. A communication alert pinged. Rhee's voice came through the intercom. Captain, we've intercepted a Dominion transmission. High priority. It's a council broadcast. They're calling an emergency meeting of their warlords. Patch it through, Voss said. The holographic display lit up with a feed of the Dominion Council chamber. Emperor Xerth stood in the center, his scaled body gleaming under the cold lights. His voice was like gravel ground under steel. Humans, he said, his tone dripping with scorn. These vermin dare challenge the Dominion. They believe their firepower makes them untouchable. I will show them the true weight of 1,000 years of conquest. Voss watched, unblinking, as the alien leader's words echoed through the room. Xerth raised his clawed hand, slamming it against a stone pillar. We will burn their colonies. We will erase their name from history. Good luck with that, Dre muttered. When the feed ended, Voss turned to his officers. You all heard him. He's coming for us. Which means we strike first. Earth Command won't sanction another strike yet, Dre warned. Voss's eyes hardened. Then we'll act before they can tell us not to. Prep the fleet. We're heading for their shipyards at Nuruth Prime. If we cripple their production lines, we cut out the heart of their war machine. As the fleet prepared for FTL jump, whispers ran through the crew. Everyone knew this was no defensive patrol anymore. It was war. Yet no one hesitated. The image of Erevos station burned in their minds like a scar. Dre stood beside Voss on the bridge as the stars elongated into streaks. Do you ever wonder how the galaxy sees us? She asked quietly. Right now, Voss replied. They see us exactly how we need them to. Something to fear. The fleet vanished into hyperspace, leaving behind silence and growing rumors. Across alien networks, the phrase began to spread like fire. Nuruth Prime filled the tactical display like a wound in the void. The Dominion's most important shipyard orbited a massive gas giant, its sprawling rings studded with construction platforms and defensive satellites. Thousands of ships, half-complete cruisers, dreadnought frames, and carriers, floated in assembly bays like metal beasts waiting to be unleashed. On the bridge of the UNS Retributor, Captain Elias Voss stood with his hands behind his back, eyes fixed on the projection. This is where they breathe, he said. We cut off their air, and the war changes. Lieutenant Kara Dre glanced up from the systems panel. Their defenses are dense. Gun emplacements, missile batteries, fighter wings. We'll have to be precise, or we'll be shredded before we get close. Voss gave a single nod. We'll be precise. Prep strike teams. I want all ships coordinated on the first volley. We hit them so hard they don't have time to think. The fleet advanced in silence, concealed by stealth screens. The hum of the ship's engines was the only sound on the bridge. The crew moved with quiet intensity, knowing the stakes. Approach vector locked, Ensign Ree reported. We'll have 15 seconds before they detect us. That's 14 seconds too many, Voss replied. Weapons hot. Fire on my mark. The first salvo tore into the outer defenses like a hammer shattering glass. Dominion satellites erupted in silent bursts of flame. Assembly platforms disintegrated under the impact of railgun slugs. Fighters scrambled from the docks but were instantly swarmed by Terran drone wings, which moved with surgical coordination, ripping enemy squadrons apart before they could form. They didn't expect this, Dre said, her voice tight with both fear and awe. They expected a war, Voss said, not judgment. On the surface of Narath Prime's largest platform, alarms howled. Dominion engineers scrambled for cover as shockwaves rippled through the station's hull. Inside their command hub, Warlord Zek, one of Emperor Xertha's trusted generals, stared at the incoming data. Humans, he growled, his claws digging into the console. They dare to strike here? He slammed his fist onto the command deck. Deploy all reserves. I want their ships torn apart. Back on Retributor, the holographic display filled with red enemy markers. Multiple cruisers inbound from the far side of the planet, Ree reported. 2 destroyers moving to flank. Helm, pivot us, Voss ordered. Bring the forward railguns online. Target their lead destroyer's reactor. The ship groaned as its massive guns rotated. The next volley of slugs ripped through space, glowing trails carving arcs in the darkness. The lead destroyer vanished in a burst of light, its hull split clean through. Second destroyer disabled, Dre reported. Our drones are finishing the job. Good, Voss said. Keep pushing. We're not here to trade blows. We're here to break them. The battle unfolded with brutal precision. Human ships moved like coordinated blades, cutting through Dominion defenses while sustaining minimal damage. Every strike was calculated, every missile aimed for structural weaknesses. But it wasn't without cost. On the left flank, a Terran destroyer, the Horizon, took a direct hit from a Dominion cruiser's plasma barrage. Its hull split open, venting fire and debris. Horizon is going critical, Ree said, her voice sharp. Get their crew out, Voss ordered immediately. Launch our drones now. They're still fighting, Dre noted, watching as Horizon fired its last railgun volley before the reactor detonated, taking the enemy cruiser with it. Bravery won't bring them home, Voss said quietly. By the hour's end, the Dominion's defenses were in ruins. Platforms burned. Ship frames floated shattered in orbit. The human fleet held position, weapons trained on the wreckage. Strike teams reporting in, Dre said. We've captured their main databanks. Their plans for fleet movements, supply routes, and weapons research, it's all ours. Transmit everything to command, Voss said. We'll give them the tools to dismantle the Dominion piece by piece. Later, in the war room, Voss studied the recovered intel. A single file caught his attention. Schematics for something massive, a superweapon codenamed Cinderforge. Dre stood beside him. That's not a ship, she said, her tone low. That's a planet killer. Voss zoomed in on the projection. They're building it in secret, deep inside their territory. If they finish this, they'll have the power to wipe entire systems clean. Then we can't let them finish it. No, Voss agreed. We'll find it and destroy it. But first, we send a message. The Dominion broadcast began with a simple image. Narath Prime's burning remains. Then Voss's voice, calm and steady, carried across every intercepted channel. You came for our people. You burned our homes. Now you see what we do in return. We are not conquerors. We are the end of those who would destroy us. If you come again, we won't just fight. We will erase you. Far away, Emperor Xerth watched the broadcast with narrowing eyes. His war council shifted uneasily in their seats. They are not a species, one of his advisors whispered. They are a storm. Xertha's claws curled. Then we will weather it. That night, as quiet settled over the Terran fleet, Dre found Voss in the observation deck, staring into the emptiness beyond. "You don't look like a man who just won," she said softly. Voss didn't glance at her. "Victory isn't what this is. It's survival. For every station we destroy, there's another colony waiting to be burned. We're buying time, nothing more." "You believe they'll keep coming?" "Yes, until they learn fear. Until they understand what happens when they strike at humanity." A soft ping broke the silence. The comms officer's voice came over the intercom. "Captain, we've received a direct reply from Dominion Space. It's from Emperor Xerth himself." "Patch it through." A grainy projection flickered to life. Xertha's reptilian face filled the screen, his voice dripping with venom. "Human," he hissed. "You are nothing but carrion dressed in steel. You believe your strikes weaken us? You only feed the fire. I will come for you, and when I do, there will be no fleet strong enough to stop me." Voss's expression didn't change. "Try me." The transmission cut. Voss turned to Dre. "Prepare the fleet. If he wants war, we'll give him something he's never seen before." She studied him for a long moment. "What's next?" Voss's gaze returned to the stars. "We hunt Cinder Forge. And when we find it, we don't just destroy it, we make sure they remember who we are." The Dominion weapons facility on Regos. 4 rose from the jagged terrain like a fortress carved into the bones of the planet. The sky above was a permanent swirl of copper and ash, storms lashing the mountains with acidic rain. Beneath the storms, the vast complex pulsed with activity. Hundreds of workers and soldiers overseeing the construction of Cinder Forge, the superweapon that could wipe entire worlds from existence. On the command deck of the UNS Retributor, Captain Elias Voss stood before the tactical display, his face lit by the red glow of the projected facility. "Confirm the intel," he said. Lieutenant Kara Dre, standing beside him, scrolled through the intercepted data. "Our recon drones confirm it. Those thermal signatures are reactor cores. They're powering something massive, and the schematics match the files we recovered at Naruth Prime. Cinder Forge is here." Voss nodded slowly. "We don't take chances. If they finish this thing, we'll be the ones burned." Dre's jaw tightened. "We'll need a ground strike. Orbital bombardment might not penetrate those shields." "Then we go down," Voss said. His tone was final. The dropships descended like iron daggers through the storm, cutting through the toxic clouds as lightning flashed across their hulls. Inside one of the troop bays, Voss stood among his Marines, helmet under one arm. His presence was calm, almost cold. "You've all seen the reports," he said, his voice carrying over the hum of engines. "This facility is building something that could erase our colonies. We can't let it exist. Today we end it." A Marine sergeant, a stocky veteran named Harlan, leaned forward. "Orders, sir? Do we neutralize workers or just the military?" Voss paused for half a beat. "Civilians, if they're there, are not our target. But this structure doesn't stay standing. Anyone who stands in the way gets buried," Harlan finished with a grim nod. Dre, strapped into her seat across from him, studied Voss. There was no hesitation in his tone. She wasn't sure if that was comforting or terrifying. The dropship slammed down on the perimeter of the facility. Before the landing struts fully deployed, the first Terran Marines poured out, rifles raised, exosuits glinting under the harsh light of the storm. Gunfire erupted instantly. Xerath soldiers in jagged armor surged from barricades, their weapons hissing with plasma bolts. "Suppressing fire, left flank!" Harlan barked, sending his squad forward. Explosions tore through the fortifications as Terran grenades detonated with concussive force, scattering the defenders. Voss advanced behind the first line of Marines, his rifle steady. He moved like a man who had done this 100 times before, efficient and relentless. Dre's voice came over comms. "Secondary dropships landing. We've got heavy drones moving to breach the outer gates." "Bring them in," Voss replied. "I want that gate down now." Within minutes, the outer perimeter was in ruins. Terran drones, sleek, insect-like machines, swarmed forward, cutting through the massive doors with thermal lances. Inside the complex, the defenders tried to regroup, but they were outmatched. "Push forward," Voss ordered. "We don't give them time to think." A burst of plasma fire struck near his position, spraying molten metal. Voss didn't flinch. He turned, sighted, and fired 2 precise shots. The Zereth soldier fell instantly, armor cracking under the kinetic impact. "Central control is 3 levels down," Dre said, moving to his side. "We disable their reactors. The whole facility collapses." Voss's eyes narrowed. "Then that's where we're going." They moved deeper into the heart of the facility. The corridors were narrow, claustrophobic, lined with glowing conduits and alien machinery. Resistance stiffened. Zereth soldiers fought with savage desperation, trying to buy time for their engineers to finish evacuating critical components. In one hallway, a group of terrified workers huddled, hands raised. Dre raised her weapon instinctively but lowered it when she saw their fear. "They're unarmed," she said. "Orders." Voss glanced at them for a long moment. "Lock them in a safe section. They're not our fight. This is about the weapon, not slaughter." Dre gave him a brief nod, a flicker of relief crossing her face. "Copy that." The final push came in the reactor chamber, a cavernous space glowing with searing blue light. Towering reactors thrummed with energy, powering the construction lines that assembled Cinderforge's components. Zereth elite guards stood between the humans and the control core. "Take them down," Voss shouted. The firefight was brutal and short. The Marines advanced with mechanical precision, their weapons tearing through the enemy ranks. Harlan tossed a charge onto a reactor conduit, grinning grimly. "Charges planted. Once we blow these, the whole place goes up." "Dre," Voss said, "get the signal ready. We need every ship clear of the blast radius." Dre tapped her comm. "Fleet, this is Dre. Prepare for immediate extraction. We're lighting the fire." As the last charges were armed, Voss paused, surveying the chamber. Through a reinforced viewport, he could see the skeletal frame of the superweapon taking shape. Vast, ominous, a silent threat to everything he protected. "Hard to believe they think this makes them strong," Dre muttered. "Strength doesn't come from terror," Voss said quietly. "It comes from surviving it." The Marines withdrew to the dropships as the facility alarms screamed. Plasma fires erupted in the corridors. The acidic rain outside hissed against their armor as they sprinted for the landing zones. "Everyone clear?" Voss asked, checking his HUD. "All squads accounted for," Harlan replied. "We're ready." "Do it," Voss ordered. The charges detonated. The ground shook as the reactors went critical, ripping the complex apart in a storm of fire and twisted metal. From orbit, the destruction looked like a scar blooming across the planet's surface. Back aboard the Retributor, silence filled the bridge as the crew watched the live feed of the facility's collapse. Dre stood next to Voss, her expression unreadable. "That's one threat gone," she said. Voss didn't answer immediately. His eyes were distant, fixed on the inferno below. "They'll call us monsters for this," he said at last. Dre turned to him. "They already do. The difference is, they're alive to talk about it." Hours later, in the captain's ready room, Voss reviewed the after-action reports. The casualty numbers were low, on their side. For the Dominion, the count was catastrophic. He rubbed his temple, the weight of command pressing down. Dre entered quietly. "Fleet reports all clear. Command is hailing us. They want a full debrief." Voss closed the report and looked up. "And the Dominion? They know we hit them. Hard." He leaned back, eyes hardening. "Good. Let them feel the weight of what happens when they threaten humanity." Far across the stars, Emperor Xerth received the report of Rigos IV's destruction. His claws gouged deep into the floor as he roared in rage. "Find them," he bellowed. "I will not rest until their world burns." The Dominion armada emerged from hyperspace like a tide of jagged steel. Dozens of cruisers, dreadnoughts, and carriers filled the black void near Charon's Reach, their crimson energy signatures burning like an angry storm. At the center, Emperor Xerth's flagship, Bloodspire, dwarfed the rest, a warship built to dominate, its hull bristling with plasma batteries and spines of blackened alloy. On the bridge of the UNS Retributor, Captain Elias Voss stood before the tactical display, surrounded by the cold glow of holographic ships. His fleet, scarred but unbroken, held formation in the shadow of a dead moon. This was not a battle they could avoid. Enemy fleet count confirmed at 75 vessels, reported Ensign Ree. They've committed everything. They think we'll run, Lieutenant Kara Dre said quietly. They don't understand us. Voss's voice was low but steady. We don't run. We finish what we start. He turned to the comms officer. Patch me through to every ship. A moment later, his voice carried across the Terran fleet. This is Captain Voss. You've seen what the Dominion does. Erivos, Naruth Prime, Regos, 4. Today we end this. They call us monsters. So be it. We will be the nightmare they never forget. The battle began with a thunderous exchange of fire. Plasma storms erupted from Dominion batteries, carving molten scars across the void. Human ships responded with precision, railguns and missile barrages lancing through enemy shields. The first Dominion cruiser was ripped apart within minutes, fragments tumbling like glowing embers. Left flank holding, Dre called out, scanning her console. Our drones are punching through their fighters, but they're pushing hard on the right. Redirect the Vanguard and Talon, Voss ordered. Pin their carriers. No reinforcements get through. The bridge shook violently as a near-miss slammed against Retributor's shields. Warning klaxons blared. Sparks rained from a damaged console. Shields at 70%, Ree shouted. Keep firing, Voss said, unflinching. Target Bloodspire's escorts. I want that flagship isolated. The Dominion fought like a cornered beast. Their warships advanced in brutal waves, each volley meant to overwhelm the smaller Terran fleet. Yet the humans moved like a single mind. Fast, ruthless, calculating. Aegis reports heavy damage, Dre said. They're asking for support. Tell Aegis to fall back behind Retributor, Voss replied. We'll cover them. In the heart of the chaos, Voss's gaze locked on Bloodspire. The Dominion flagship loomed like a black mountain, its hull alive with shifting lights as weapons charged for a massive broadside. Xertha's on that ship, Voss said. He's the head of the snake. We cut it off, the rest scatters. Dre nodded grimly. And if we don't? Then we die trying. Sir, Bloodspire is powering up its main plasma array, Ree warned. If it fires, then we won't be here to see it, Voss cut in. All ships, concentrate fire on Bloodspire. Ignore the rest. We take it down now. The Terran fleet turned as one, unleashing a storm of firepower. Railgun rounds, high-yield torpedoes, and drone swarms hammered Bloodspire's shields. The flagship retaliated with devastating blasts, vaporizing one of the smaller Terran corvettes in a single shot. Falcon is gone, Dre said, her voice tight. Then make them pay, Voss growled. Bring the forward rail batteries online. Maximum charge. The Retributor's main cannons roared, 3 colossal slugs ripping through space and slamming into Bloodspire's armor. The hull cracked under the impact, debris spinning into the void. Shields down to 30% on their flagship, Ree reported. Push harder, Voss said. No retreat. Not today. Inside Bloodspire, Emperor Xerth stood on his command deck, claws digging into the railing as his ship shuddered under the assault. These humans, he hissed. They are no warriors. They are something worse. Orders, my Emperor? Asked one of his commanders. Xertha's golden eyes blazed. Ram them if you must. I will see their leader's corpse before this day ends. The Dominion flagship lurched forward, engines burning bright as it charged. They're coming straight for us. Dre shouted. Then meet them, Voss replied. Helm, bring us head to head. Ready the spinal railgun. Target their reactor core. That's a suicide shot, Dre said. Only if we miss, Voss answered calmly. The two ships closed the distance, exchanging fire at point-blank range. The void was filled with streaks of plasma and kinetic slugs, every impact shaking the Retributor to its bones. Firing solution locked, Ree said. Do it, Voss commanded. The spinal railgun fired with a deafening tremor. A tungsten slug accelerated to near-light speed. It punched through Bloodspire's forward hull, tearing through decks and igniting its core systems. The Dominion flagship erupted in a chain reaction, explosions blooming across its structure. For a heartbeat, the ship's silhouette burned against the stars, then it fractured, breaking apart in a storm of fire and metal. The battlefield went silent. The remaining Dominion ships hesitated, their formation breaking. Without their emperor, their will to fight shattered. "Enemy fleet is retreating," Dre reported, almost in disbelief. We did it." Voss exhaled slowly. "Signal the fleet. No pursuit. Let them crawl home and tell the story." As the debris of Bloodspire drifted past, Dre looked at Voss. "Do you think this is enough to stop them?" "No," he said. "But it's enough to make them think twice. And that's all we need." Hours later, in the quiet aftermath of battle, the Retributor floated among the wreckage. Fires flickered on shattered hulls, the remnants of a war that would be remembered for centuries. Dre found Voss in the observation deck, standing alone. "We've sent the casualty lists to command. The fleet is battered, but alive." He didn't look at her. His gaze was fixed on the void. "They'll call us executioners. Again." "Maybe," she said softly. "But sometimes survival looks like execution." Voss turned to her, his expression unreadable. "We don't fight for glory. We fight because no one else will protect us." He paused, his voice firm. "And if fear keeps humanity alive, then let them fear." On the shattered Dominion networks, a single message spread faster than any transmission before it. "The Bloodspire has fallen. The humans don't fight, they erase."